In 1961, President Kennedy created the Peace Corps to promote world peace and friendship with three simple goals in mind. The first goal is the technical support provided by volunteers in sectors such as health, education, and agriculture. The second goal is the role that volunteers play as part of communities overseas, promoting a better understanding of Americans on the part of the people that they're serving. And the third goal is the role that volunteers play when they return to the United States, promoting a better understanding of other people, places, and cultures on the part of Americans. And this third goal is just as relevant today as it was in 1961. A recent poll by Gallup, commissioned by the Council on Foreign Relations, concluded that although adult Americans show limited knowledge about geography and world affairs, 7 in 10 respondents consider international issues to be relevant to their daily lives and express a desire to promote education in these areas. This is consistent with the third goal, the desire to bring global understanding back to Americans. Yet only 0.3% of the current Peace Corps budget contributes toward advancing the third goal of the Peace Corps. So I'm proposing a way to better fulfill the third goal. In order to inform and engage more Americans in global issues in the United States foreign affairs, the Peace Corps should fund return volunteers to spend 1 year upon their return to the United States, educating fellow Americans in their congressional districts about key global issues related to their sector of service. The experience Peace Corps volunteers gain overseas is an investment in US citizens that can benefit other Americans. And recent studies come to similar conclusions. The National Peace Corps Association released a community report in 2020 that encouraged the Peace Corps to increase its funding and staff resources for the third goal, and to better leverage the expertise that's been developed by volunteers overseas. And a study done by the Women of Color Advancing Peace, Security, and Conflict Transformation also found that Peace Corps volunteers want a domestic option for service, particularly one that takes advantage of their skill sets in areas like public health, food security, and economic security. So there's a need for this, and there's also interest in it. How might it work in practice? With about 6 months remaining in their overseas service, Peace Corps volunteers could decide whether or not they wanted to apply for a third year in the United States. If accepted, they'd remain under the Peace Corps umbrella, would be considered more like a Peace Corps fellow rather than a volunteer, as they'd be paid an entry-level government salary and have access to benefits. As needed, they would take modules that have already been designed by the Foreign Service Institute for State Department employees. And to the extent possible, they would be seconded to their home congressional district, given their familiarity with issues that are of interest and concern the people who live in their district. Like volunteers do overseas, they would first assess their district context and coordinate with the congressional district director to determine an outreach plan to best explain different global issues and foreign policies that affect their congressional district and state, taking advantage of opportunities to share those at cultural, religious, and educational events and institutions. I anticipate having about 600 return Peace Corps volunteers per year, or about 15% of the current cohort that's overseas at any given time, and it would cost around $36 million, which is on average about 11 cents per American, which is a pretty decent price for more globally informed citizenry. But I want to close on an anecdote on why I really think this $36 million is a sound investment. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Togo from 2003 to 2005. During my last few months of service, my dad came to visit me. He was 57 at the time, and it was his first time to travel outside the United States. He spent most of his life as a corn and soybean farmer 90 miles west of Chicago. Though he's always been globally minded, it was his first experience to interact with people of the Islamic faith because I lived in a predominantly Muslim village. It was certainly his first chance to witness present-day subsistence farming. But he didn't come away from the experience thinking that what Togo needed was additional food aid. What he saw was that Togo needed improved infrastructure, better transportation systems for their crops, better storage systems for their crops, mechanized farming to be able to farm at scale. And when he reads about extremism in present-day West Africa, he knows those are outliers. It's not reflective of the population that he met when he was visiting. And so the stories I share with him and the experiences that he's had really influences what he thinks US foreign policy should be in that part of the world. And while every American can't have that firsthand experience, What we can do is better invest in Peace Corps volunteers when they return to the United States to give them a structure to better educate Americans about what's going on in the rest of the world. Thank you.